And our main topic this week on Mastering Dungeons, we are going to unbox the D&D Encounters package that was sent to game stores to run the refresh, the brand new first season of D&D Encounters. We want to thank the folks at Wizards of the Coast who provided this kit to us so that we can show you all the awesome ways that the program can support game stores and support the dungeon masters who run games for folks there.
Yeah, and it's really nice that they gave this opportunity for us to review it, in part because, Shawn, you wrote this. You worked with the team.
I was the designer on this game, working with a wonderful team, including Chris Tullock, who was the project lead, Sadie Lowry, who did the layout, and Rich Lescu. Sadie did the editing. Rich Lescu did the wonderful layout work. So, and lots of great art that we got to pull down. Some great maps that we will be sharing with you. But we'll start with a quick program overview. Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about this. D&D Encounters was a program that started during the 4th edition days. Mm-hmm. And it was the brainchild of Chris Tullock, who at the time and now again was working for D&D on organized play content. And Chris's idea was, hey, we have Friday Night Magic that does great. Can we do something similar for D&D? And so Chris piloted this program, put together amazing content that he could share with game stores so that they could use their resources to run a standardized D&D game every Wednesday night, to sort of become the Friday Night Magic for D&D. And the program worked unbelievably well, at least in my opinion. I ran this at game stores, even having to travel 45 minutes to get to the nearest game store that was running it. I ran it. The game store was able to give to players and game masters some really cool knickknacks and play supplements. But the camaraderie that was created by these programs was maybe not equal to what I saw during the living campaigns, but it at least brought folks together and gave folks who might otherwise not have a chance to play D&D the chance to play D&D.
Yeah, I agree. My experience with Encounters was first in Portland running. I first helped co-run the first season, and then I ran the second and part of the third season on my own before giving that off to somebody else. It was an incredible, eye-opening experience for me because I had assumed, being in Portland and playing 3rd edition organized play, that I knew how many D&D players there were in this area. I mean, like, you always know there's some others. But, in that second season of Encounters, where I was just running it and keeping track of all the players, we had over 300 unique players come in to this store. We were one of 6 stores in Portland running this program. And of those 300 plus people, I think 3 to 5 of them were people I knew. And so it just showed the vast untapped number of people out there that are willing to come and play and try D&D. And what we saw is they cycled continuously. So had I kept running the program, I would have seen way more than 300, right? And again, this is just at one of 6 stores. And that sort of energy, as I traveled around the country for my day job, I would start up Encounters programs or join Encounters programs if they had one, and see all these people come into this store. It was, as you said, an incredible community. It was really good for the store, really good for the area, created a ton of fantastic energy. And a lot of that energy, even after the Encounters program died away in early 5e, it continued on. People kept playing the same night of the week, right? Still playing on Wednesdays, still, running games and still having, DMs and organizers from back in those fourth edition era. But you could feel it sort of losing some energy, especially around the pandemic. It took a hit, right? And so groups were starting to lose some of that cohesiveness. It's great to see this program back, because that's what this program will do more than anything else, is just light a fire, bring tons of energy, towards D&D at the store level, which is really, really important for the hobby and helps do all, what I saw over and over again. I'll shut up soon, but people would come in, they would try encounters, they would buy a product or two at the store, and they would say, this is awesome. 3 of us at this table, we're actually going to go do a home game. Is that okay? I'm like, that is as intended. Go have fun.
Yeah.
You have my blessing. Yeah. And then a different 3 people would come in the next week, right? But that was what was great. And they might try different games or do whatever, right? Like, it was good for the entire hobby for this to exist.
Mm-hmm. And so now it exists again. And before we talk about this particular season, we want to also talk about the differences between Adventurers League, Legends of Greyhawk, and D&D Encounters, because I've seen some confusion. All 3 may be run at game stores, but they are 3 completely different programs. Adventurers League can run practically anything that is Adventurers League legal, which can include an enormous amount of back adventures.
Yeah.
Whether it's the hardcover books, whether it's particularly created Adventures League content, whether it's the dungeon craft adventures, whether it's third party convention content, on and on and on and on. And there's a very particular set of rules that Adventures League will follow. Legends of Greyhawk is new.
And Shawn, if I can just back up for someone who might not know anything about it, the point of this in an organized play program is that you make your character and your character advances, right? But it doesn't even have to be the same DM or the same players at the table. So if a home campaign, you think of like the problem D&D always has of like scheduling, right? Can we meet tomorrow? Well, you can just show up at the store or convention or whatever, and you can play the next chapter. As long as someone's running it, you can sit down and play. And as long as there are 3 other people there, right, like you're ready to go. And that's what makes organized play so amazing, is it gets past that whole scheduling issue and gives you a way to advance your character and tell their story over time. And because other people are doing that, it creates community because you can all share the stories you had. What did you do when you played this encounter, right? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. And if you follow the correct guidelines, you can create your own adventures through the Adventure Craft system. I assume that's still going.
Yeah, I think Dungeon Craft's still alive. Yeah.
Yeah. So that gives you this wide array of options that you can do. And like Teos said, take your character anywhere. As long as it's an Adventurers League legal adventure and setting, you can do it. Legends of Greyhawk is new. And the content for that is created specifically by certain premier organizers. So this is meant to be, at least at the start, a convention-focused campaign. And the content for that will then be distributed possibly through D&D Beyond. We've already seen some adventures delivered via that route. But there is a different set of character creation guidelines and a different set of rules for running that campaign. So there is no crossover between Adventurers League and Legends of Greyhawk. Now we're throwing D&D Encounters.
No matter what Mordenkainen says.
That's
you
right.
Can't go from Forgotten Realms to Greyhawk or back.
You just can't do it. So D&D Encounters is going to add a 3rd level of play to this. But there is no crossover between D&D Encounters and Adventurers League or Legends of Greyhawk. So D&D Encounters will have its own content, its own character creation rules or pre-made characters that you can use, and it will only run at game stores and in certain places.
And you get cool stuff, which we're going to show off on this show when you do it. So there are strong incentives. And this has been an important part of the D&D Encounters program is incentives for DMs to run. Because what you're trying to do is talk people into stepping up, right? Like you've been just playing or coming into the store and hanging out. Hey, would you like a really cool looking pin? Would you like a really neat folder? Would you like a map? You get some really cool bling in exchange for your time running this game, and it weaves you into the community through those incentives, right? The adventures have in the past often been exclusive for some amount of time, right? Where the only way you could get, the special Dark Sun adventure would be to have run that season. Otherwise, you're paying huge prices on eBay. But that exclusivity made it enticing to people. And then later, it's available on the DM's Guild or places like that. And that'll probably be, in this case, it sounds like it'll be on D&D Beyond eventually. But you get that physical copy, and you get to be there with the excitement when it drops.
Yeah. So as Teos said, each season that pack will go to the game stores with all of these incentives to play. It will include a booklet with adventures, including a 3-hour adventure that is meant to run for up to 4 tables at the same time, with 5 players per table. That will be accessible play for all skill levels, typically with level 3 to 5 characters, pre-made characters provided, or the option for players to create their own. And those rewards Teos was talking about for both players and for the dungeon masters, for stores that are able to order that physical kit that Wizards of the Coast provides. Then, after that celebration event takes place, there will be 4 weeks of the D&D Encounters weekly adventures, where the celebration event says the fun continues over 4 weeks of play, featuring short session play designed to fit perfectly into an after school or after work foray. So those weekly encounters are meant to run in about 90 minutes to 2 hours. So the game store can schedule a full campaign in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
The 3-hour D&D celebration event, and then the 4 weeks following that. The times when this can be done has already started for stores that have the early release designation for the Ravenloft book, because this new season is in support of the Ravenloft Horrors Within hardcover.
Right now, the emphasis is English speaking because they're not looking to localize this. You can imagine how hard it is to do the Dungeon Masters actual play series, the encounters packet, the celebration event, and it all has to link together and all be done in coordination with the season and book itself, right? So there's a lot of work that's coming together to create this program, and then create a package that right now goes out to the US, Canada, UK, Ireland, Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Australia, and New Zealand. And we'll hear about a few other ones in the future.
Mm-hmm. So all stores, whether they receive that physical packet or not, will have access to the digital play kit. Though the digital play kit does not include physical player or DM rewards, it does provide all the materials needed to run the adventure in a PDF form. Stores can also receive 5 D&D Beyond claim codes that can be distributed to the dungeon masters that allow them to claim the adventure and any maps free of charge on the first day of early access. So even if you can't, as a store, give these product from the physical kit to the dungeon masters, you can give them free access to the content on D&D Beyond, which they would otherwise not be able to access. So let's get to the question on everyone's mind, Teos. What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box? What's in the box? Well, in the box is, first, instructions for an organizer. So if you are running the celebration event, or if you're just doing in general the Encounters season, this one-page thing will tell you what's it all about. How do you recruit DMs? What do you tell DMs? What do you tell players, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. One page, one side, just telling you what you've got in this package, how you're going to run it, where to go for more information. Very, very good and very simple. And then, Shawn, the next part we get, super important. Everybody gets 5 copies of the adventure booklet. It's called Shadows of Sithicus, and it is beautiful. In the olden days of Encounters, you would get a nice sort of outer cover like this, but then the inside was black and white, still really cool. Well, you get the full formatting of, the beautiful, like multicolored, you get art, you get maps that are shown. The maps use the map pack that is available for sale. You get, monster art from the Horrors Within book, and all the nice, beautiful layout, right? Colored tables, all of that. Very nice layout, gorgeous layout done by our friend Rich Lescaflair. It's a really nice, like, reading through this is a pleasure. Looking at everything in it, it reads really well. It's really fun. This is a thing you want on your shelf. Like, it looks cool. This is a desirable thing for sure, which is one of the criteria, because you want to incentivize DMs to run it, get this beautiful physical copy. And even as a digital file, in a PDF format, which is fantastic. It's very nice looking, really cool looking product. And it reads well. Like, it's easy to run, has, good appendices and information for the organizer, the main organizer, as we'll talk about, and all that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that first booklet, or the first part of that booklet, is called Grave Awakenings, and that is the celebration event. As we've mentioned, it takes about 3 hours to play, and up to 4 tables can play together as sort of an interactive flight in this event. And then for the next 4 weeks, the rest of the book talks about each of those individual weekly encounters sessions. Take up to from 90 minutes to 2 hours, and they recommend playing on a Wednesday, coinciding with the day when episodes of the Dungeon Master's actual play air. And if you've seen the actual play and you've read now the adventure, you know that they correspond a bit and overlap in terms of the content and the story.
Yeah. But Shawn, there's more.
Oh, there's more. If you are running this adventure, it uses maps from the separate product that Wizards released called the Map Pack. So each adventure will use a map from the Map Pack. So that there, Teos is showing, is from the first weekly encounter, Terror and Tempest. And on the other side is the map for the D&D celebration event called Grave Encounters. Grave Awakenings. It's not like I wrote it. So you get that map along with it. The last 3 weekly encounters also use maps from the map pack. So the game store should be selling those, so you can just pick them up if you want to run those last 3 encounters on the actual physical battle map. But the map is included within the text of the adventure, so you can always see it and draw it if you so choose. Yes.
Yeah, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous map. Really beautiful, really fun to have. And so you get, a copy for each table. In the event that we'll talk about, we'll share some of the design details. Each table would run the same map, though you're supposed to be in sort of different parts of the graveyard, for example, right? You're all doing your section using this map, which is great. Like it is that's a gorgeous map to move around. Lots of oohs and ahs, the glowing, the lights, the art is fantastic. And so for sure, this is fun, right? You bust out this map and everybody just gets excited about it.
Yeah. When I was designing it, I had to decide which of the maps to use for which things. And I saw that map and I'm like, oh, there's so much to use on that map. We are going to design the bejeebus out of this stuff.
Yeah, you can see there are these lights that all the lanterns will play a role, and really, very evocative, really nice, and very cool.
Yep. But that's not all, Teos. That's not all that's in the map pack.
Nope.
You also get 20 character folios to hold character sheets, notes, and other items. This is a player participation award for the season, so you can hand these out to the people that come to play.
Yeah, and this is very cleverly done. So I'm holding them up and showing it off, but inside it tells you what your actions are that you can do a turn, what is a D20 test, what is advantage and disadvantage, and a QR code that you can take to the YouTube channel to watch Dungeon Masters to see what people are doing that led to these events. And because the events in this adventure tie into what happened in that actual play, which is really cool. But really neat art. There have been folios like this given out in some situations in the past. They're always well liked by players. Really neat art, and so that makes it a really nice collectible item, but also useful. It's the kind of thing that you can decide whether you want it to be battle worn 5 years from now or crisp and clean on a shelf. Either way, you're happy. I love things like that, and so that's a very nice player reward. Whenever I've been a part of a season like this, where you get to give somebody something like this, I mean, people just react. Like they're like, "Really? I get to keep this?" And kids, right? They just go nuts about it. It's wonderful.
And all the adults who are kids like us love it as well. Now, there are supposed to also be 5 packs of character sheets. Yep. Teos is showing these pre-made characters that you can give to the players if they don't want to make their own character. However, there was a printer error. So for this season, there is just 1 pack of 5 characters, but there are files available on the Wizards Play Network site, and in the future there will be those 5 packs so that each table, each group who's playing can get one.
Yep. Yep. And these are gorgeous. They are based on the characters that were in Dungeon Master's actual play, which is a fun way to, be recognizable, easy to role play for people who might have seen the actual play. So the first one, I haven't opened this up, but the first one is Krem, the Rock Gnome Reanimator Artificer. I think one of them changed classes because the actor wanted to play a character they had played previously, which is not a subclass that's in Horrors Within. So this version does bring instead the cool new Ranger subclass. So everybody is trying out new subclasses too, which is sort of fun. They have been custom made by Ritual Escaflare. So, there is small font, bring your reading glasses, but you get kind of everything you need feature wise. I did verify you don't get the spells. So organizers, it's a good idea to figure out what spells they have, go and make a cheat sheet, from any of the many wonderful online sources, and just have that available so that people know what the spells do rather than having to flip around. You do, however, get things like attacks like Firebolt that are already standardized there. So the majority of things are, the easy stuff you're going to do every round is covered. It's playable as is, but I would take that extra step. But these are my favorite 5e character sheets I've ever seen. I think the design is gorgeous. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful look to them. I think that's really awesome. So once next season, when they have, maybe a slightly different look, but you have enough of them for everybody, that will also be a draw to get that cool character sheet.
Yeah. And that's not all.
What?
Yes. You also get 5 Icon of Ravenloft pins to give to your game masters who have volunteered to run this encounters for you. And it is a wacky, wild looking.
Yeah, it's that sun, it's based on that artifact that's the Icon of Ravenloft. And so you get that I want to say Palor, but it's not Palor, the Morning Lord.
Yep.
Lathander. Right, based on that. Yeah, Lathander. And so that, but nice, very shiny, shiny silver around it and nicely painted in color. And you can pin it to your, backpack or shirt or whatever. Very cool, very neat. So nice to see. And again, you get, the idea is you have 5 tables that you're running of this is a pretty good size. So you're able to do that. And I think 5 is a really good size. It's a size that a lot of stores will sort of shoot for. Big established stores, they often would run 6, sometimes more tables, but that's okay. You can't cover everybody, and then you've got wasted items, and then they get sold on the internet. So I think this is a good compromise that they're going off for. So Shawn, that's it, right? There's absolutely nothing else that stores get.
Well, stores get more. We can't show you them, but stores also get dice. They get a full display, which is 25 packs of Castle Ravenloft treasure packs by Serious Dice to celebrate the launch of the program. The kit and the bonus display were completely free to the first 1,000 qualifying stores.
Awesome.
Stores also get other marketing items like posters, counter displays, and digital assets available through the Wizards Play Network portal for stores to either download for free or to purchase.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, this is fantastic. I love the bling. I think this is a good amount of bling for this Encounters pack. I mean, it's all wonderful. It's all upside, right? They could have given us a simple PDF and done, but this is all really nice. This is a great way to incentivize stores to run this. It's the kind of thing that if I'm a player, I would go out of my way to go to my store and say, we're not running this. How can we run this? How can I help you run this? Let's do this. Let's run the next season. Let's get this stuff in here. Let's create a community. And so it's just fantastic incentives. I love everything I'm seeing. Sometimes in the past, there have been big things that were cool, but not necessary, or things that made sense. Like when D&D made its own miniatures, rather than licensing them, it would give away miniatures, which was a huge draw, you can imagine. But that's only possible when you're part of that whole production thing. Otherwise it's an expense someone has to figure out. Though, hey, maybe WizKids wants to give away a little pack the way Serious Dice did. I don't know.
Yeah, and we did have Chris Tulak on the show, and Chris is in touch with game stores.
Yeah,
right. He is constantly evaluating programs. He is constantly talking to the owners and people that run the game stores, saying, "What can we do? How can we help? What can we do to get D&D being played in your store?"
Yeah.
And so, anything within reason, I think that Chris and Wizards of the Coast in general will look at to see if it's something that's feasible to do.
Yeah, really cool. And I know they'll be talking to stores to see how this first season goes, and the first couple, where people kind of find their rhythm, and then you get really good feedback about that. But Shawn, I want to talk about this adventure because it's very fortunate that you can talk about the design of it. Because this isn't easy. I worked on Vault of the Draculich, which was a multi-table event, and trying to write up to a store, hey, do this thing you may have never done before, of having multiple tables, all having a play experience together and making it really exciting, and have one person be the organizer. And so I'm share with us kind of what's going on here starting with the celebration event. And how you and the team approached it. I think that'd be really cool to hear.
Yep. Okay. So we're going to have some slight spoilers for the celebration event and the weekly encounters. You're not going to learn all the deep secrets of these adventures, but we are going to talk about the story behind them and a few of the mechanics of them. So if you don't want any spoilers at all, thank you for listening. If you're okay with maybe just a bit, hang in there. So the purpose of these adventures is to highlight the content of the new releases, both on the player side and on the DM side. So the pre-made characters will have content from the new book, and the DM side, they get the maps, they get new monsters, they get some of the lore that will be included in the book within the adventure itself. Now, D&D Encounters, both the celebration event and the weekly play, I need to be perfectly clear on this, are not designed specifically for new players or DMs. They are designed for people who are already engaged with D&D in some way. And they expect a DM who sort of knows what they're doing. They also are not the simplest adventures to play. So the players should know their way around a character. The characters and the play starts at 3rd level. So already you're into the 3rd level with everything that goes into
subclasses, all that. Yeah.
You're getting subclasses. You're getting all the features of those subclasses. So if you are looking for experiences for brand new DMs or brand new players, go with the International Day of Play adventures like Goblin Trouble or Dagger Danger, or go all the way back to Peril in Pinebrook. That will teach DMs how to DM. That will teach players how to play with a simplified version. Or go to Heroes of the Borderlands starter set and start there. Because I know I'm going to get feedback that this was too hard for new DMs and too hard for new players, and the answer is yes, that is true. You can't design for everyone. The point of this is to challenge the players a little bit. and challenge the DMs to be flexible. So
Yeah.
you're going to get that. All right. So let's talk about the celebration event, Grave Encounters, for level 3 characters to be run in 3 hours. What happens in this adventure? The characters are pulled into Sithicus and asked to rescue villagers from the local cemetery. Something is reaching into the realm and changing the status quo that has been there forever. This mirrors the play of the Dungeon Master's actual play.
Mm-hmm.
So if you follow that, you are going to be familiar with the story that happens here.
Yeah.
So then, if you have more than one table, each table goes to a different section of the cemetery and has to deal with the powers that are being affected by whatever it is that's changing Ravenloft as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm going to spoil one little thing here for people that might be game mastering. There is a magical darkness that happens during this adventure. Characters with dark vision can see in this magical darkness.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Magical darkness has changed now. So unless the magical darkness says dark vision doesn't work, dark vision does work. So characters with dark vision can see in this. And I think even though one pre-gen says they don't, all of the pre-gens have dark vision.
Okay.
And that's important to note.
I forget whether we said that you can make your own character, but you can't.
Yes.
That is possible. So probably a lot of people are using the pre-gens, but you can choose to make your own and bring it.
Yeah. So if the players survive at the end, they are asked by their quest giver Inza to go out into the mists and hunt down whatever dark forces are wreaking havoc. The celebration event, as we discussed, is an interactive thing. So there is also a role, if you have more than one table, for sort of an event organizer to keep track of how each individual table is doing. And some of the things that one table does may affect a different table in a different way. One of the things that's challenging about these interactive events is timing. Because one table may finish really soon and another table may take longer. So one of the design imperatives is, what do you do when this table's done in 20 minutes and this table will not be done for another half hour? Yeah. You don't want that table sitting there and waiting. So you have to design into it ways to keep the table that finished entertained while not overly taxing them with just throw another encounter at them. So there are ways, if you are a designer of these interactive events, to have tables take longer and have longer tables finish more quickly.
Yeah, I really
and that is a part of that.
Yeah, I admired that design a lot. I think it's really good here. It's very fun with this idea of like, there's one where it's like, if you did really, really well and you're the first table to finish, you go and do this other encounter. And as you succeed at that encounter, you do a thing that boosts the other tables. It's a great catch-up mechanic. So I slow down the super fast people and I speed up everybody else. I thought that was really cool. And then there are a number of sort of situations like that. And also impacts from how you do, depending on whether you save people or not, impacts all the various tables. And enough people fail, then you just go with a different situation. Which, yeah, I don't know if you want to kind of talk about that.
Not really. I don't want to spoil any more.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
any
totally
more
fine.
than I have to.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But just be aware that there are a lot of moving parts. So if you are running it and you do have an extra person who can act as that coordinator, it is very, very helpful. Otherwise, the dungeon masters will have to communicate with each other as they finish up.
And we saw this when Vault of the Dracolich and the other one of the Sundering Adventures that feature multi-table. I'm forgetting the name right now, but it's in Yawning Portal. When those adventures were run at stores would make the mistakes of like, you know what, one of the DMs can both DM and organize this. And it's not the same. And I know because your best organizer is probably one of your better DMs. And so you really want them DMing. But the reality is they're better as an organizer. And you know, someone else can rise to do the DMing. because that organization really gives it allows that person to speak as the NPC, to guide the tables, to check on timing, and that makes the event run so much more smoothly than if you try to have a DM also organize.
Yep. There is an appendix that has organizer information. So it breaks down each encounter, what you have to say, when you have to say it, what to keep track of for cross table pollination, if you will. And so hopefully we've made it easy on organizers to do that.
Yeah. So there's a whole event coordinator guide. Really nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I love it. Really nice. I think it's fun play, creative play. It uses the maps really great. So, we've shown before the neat lights that are there that really stand out in the art. Those play a role. Very much fits into what the Dungeon Master's actual play has done. If people know that, that's rewarding in terms of its tie-ins.
Mm-hmm. So when you finish, you've played your 3rd level character in this level 3 event. You are asked to go off into the mist and continue your quest. So if you do so, you can level up to level 4. You get to take treasure out of the adventure and continue the story. There are 4, as we said before. The first weekly adventure is called Terror and Tempest, and that uses the other side of the battle map. If you complete that, you get the treasure, and you can go on to the next one called Death and Darkon, which is also level 4. If you complete that, you can up your character to level 5 and play the final 2 weekly encounters, Blood in Borka and Victory and Valachan. And each of those takes place in the domain of dread that was named. So Tempest, Darkon, Borka, and Valachan are sort of touched upon in each of those adventures.
Yeah, which I love. I mean, I love the trope of like take a tour of things and have a linking storyline. I actually wish that the book itself, Horrors Within, had gone with that as an adventure of like some unifying framework that DMs could customize, like visit 3 domains, and then at the end of it, here's this sort of set piece that you'll run to sort of conclude everything. But so this kind of does that, which is really nice, which I think is great for stores too, because it means the stores are showcasing why these domains are all awesome, which might make you want to buy the product that's on their shelves, which is why the store exists. So it's really nice that way. And I found one of the big successes of the Dark Sun season of D&D Encounters back in the day was the fact that it showcased everything that was new and different, and people would just get up and go to the cash register and buy a copy of the book. Versus when we played Forgotten Realms, they're kind of like, yeah, okay, sure, it's stuff, and they wouldn't buy a thing because they didn't sort of see what was new about it. And so showing off those like the subclasses and the whatevers, then, I want to know what my subclass will do when I keep playing and level up. So I'm going to buy the book, right? Great. It's a great call.
Yeah. And so you play for these 4 weeks and then you're done. You can continue to play in other aspects of the world. The adventure points you into other directions that you could take. Or you could just go play a campaign with these characters now. But that is the end. And we always talk about the brevity of a D&D campaign and how you're lucky if a campaign goes 5 sessions. Well, this is a 5-session campaign. And if you are still willing and able to play at the end of it, you can. Stores can also replay it. You can bring in new players, or you can have people who've played it become DMs, or you can just play it again with a different character. The old D&D encounters, while they were wonderful, they went for several weeks. Then there would be like a week off, and then you jump right into the next one. And it didn't give breathing room for people that might want to try something different. So I like that aspect of this. Yeah,
that could be really good. And Shawn, I got a report from the field today. I was talking to one of the co-owners of Geeky Teas and Games in Burbank, and they reported that they ran the celebration event. They had a blast. The owner said that they had tons of volunteers and DMs who talked about how much they loved this format. So good job. You made at least some folks in Burbank really, really happy running a bunch of tables there. And I'm sure there are a lot of stories like that from stores.
Awesome. The last thing I want to say about the adventure is if you are a DM and you are used to working in an organized play setting where you want to like run the adventure as written and it's meant to challenge and it has to be the same for everybody, delete that from your brain. Make it fun for your particular group. You do not need to challenge the players by beating them down, especially if they're new players. You have the blessing of the designer to make whatever changes are necessary to make sure that your table has fun.
Yeah, that's great advice. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So let's do a quick rundown of the schedule. So on June 2nd, the first day of WPN Store early release in the US, Canada, Britain, and Europe happened. And WPN Store early release sales begin for Ravenloft Horrors Within. So that has come and gone. From June 5th to 14th, the celebration events can run in stores with early access. And on June 10th, which is when this show drops, the first Wednesday for scheduled weekly D&D encounter play for stores with early access can begin. Weekly play scheduling is again recommended for Wednesday, although Wednesday through Sunday each week will work. And once weekly play is turned on, it is always available in case you want to rerun the seasonal adventures. Take us through the rest of that schedule.
Yeah, so then the stores that don't have the early access, they're selling the book starting June 16th. And on June 19th to 28th, that's when they can run the celebration event in those non-early access stores. And on June 24th is the first Wednesday when the weekly play will begin. So we're going to see sort of two different sets of stores depending on their schedule and how they'll run things. There's a fair bit of flexibility there. If you are a store organizer or working with a store, there's a WPNwizards.com website update that walks through all of this. Link in our show notes, but you can also find it pretty easily on the WPN site. Stores, sometimes need help knowing about their own programs. I've been there, but hopefully things are better today and they know. But if not, help guide your store through that. I've done that many times. And Shawn, when the adventure ends, what happens then?
Well, the new WPN schedule options let a store schedule different events. So you could schedule one-shot events. You could pick up some AL adventures and start to run that. You can do Legends of Greyhawk. You can run some learn to plays for new players who might not be ready for encounters yet. But if you teach them with a session or two, maybe then they would be ready to jump in and play along with everyone else. The mini adventures from the DMAP play packs are recommended as an option for shorter play. And of course, the encounter season can be rerun until the next season begins. And within the Ravenloft Horrors Within book itself, there are a ton of options for adventure hooks that you can, as the DM, make up your own stuff. Take those same characters and go off and play on a campaign of your own making.
Love it. Yeah, you never know where a D&D Encounters table will lead you. The first Undermountain D&D Encounters that I ran at a store, the very first session, there were two guys at my table, and they're like, "This is awesome. And what you're doing is awesome. How do I become a DM?" And they proceeded to run D&D Encounter tables at the store. And then they ran a table at PAX, including for D&D staff members. And they're now a professional DM, right?
Yep.
Like just, you never know where it'll lead, right? These kinds of programs, like they really can have big impacts on people.
For sure. Many friends I have made over the years between organized play and D&D Encounters, people I still game with today, people who have been interested in DMing and then in the game design, working with them to teach all the skills that go into it has been an amazing. So sometimes that first step in a long journey, you just close your eyes and put that one foot in front of the other and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad about this, Shawn. Congratulations on playing Roll in It. I hope you write tons more of these, and I'm looking forward to see how the design changes, how the program changes. Folks watching this, leave your questions. In part because sometime down the road we'll probably have Chris Tulloch on again to talk about the program. Maybe at some point we'll make some changes or something like that. It'll be good to have him back, talk about where the program is. I love that this program exists, and yeah, it's just great energy.
Yeah. So hit us with your questions, your comments, not just on D&D Encounters, but on anything related to D&D. And thank you so much for listening. If you want to reach out to us, you can hit us up via email at masteringdnd@gmail.com. You can become a patron of this show. You can do so by going to patreon.com/masteringdnd and becoming a Master of Dungeon supporter. Thank you so much to everyone who's already done that. You can become a Master of Realms supporter who get a shout out here in our show notes, or you can become a Master of the Multiverse. And those folks, they get access to a whole bunch of stuff, including my horrible pronunciation, starting with Agile Monk of Fantasy Companion Workshops, Keith Ammon of The Monsters Know What They're Doing, Lou Anders of Lazy Wolf Studios, Craig Bailey, Rudy Chainsaw Basso, David Bastiensen, Derek the Bearded GM, Steve Bissonette, Merrick Blackman, Bosch John from Duality Press, Calvin Bridges of Alos, Brobo Ballin, Kevin Criswell, Dead Inertia DM, Evil John, Evanet Nimble Co., Kevin Davis, Will Doyle, Andy Edmonds at nerdronomicon.com, James Fisher, Scott Fitzgerald Gray at Insane Angel Studios, Ted and Guyana of Frog Helmet Games, Ben Heisler and Paige Laitman, Simon the Hunter, Sean Hurst, Hyperlexic, the Jaunty Mantis TTRPG podcast, Mark and Mary's Gaming Compound, The Mighty Jerd, JR of the Twilight Perspective, JT Evans, Brian King, Jim Klingler, Gail Curmandy, Schwill from Maine, Leftstria, Chad Lynch, Paul Mata, The Mathemagician, Jaron from Mathis Arcanum, Eric Mengi, Anna B. Meyer of Fantasy Cartography, Trey McLemore, Michael, John Mickey, Sean Molly, Dustin from Mountain and Myth Fantasy Maps, Falcon Neal, Tom Nelson, creator of the Deck of Player Safety, DT Norris of DT and Dragons, Phil Wirt from the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo, Philip and Lindsay, Frog Prince at Tentacle Squelching Wetly, Post Fiction RPG Audio, Ricardo Who Might Adventure, Robert Pasley, Vladimir Prenner from Croatia, Joe Rosso, Ozymandias Rex, Runner Rick, David Rideout, Chance Russo at Drago Russo, Andy Shockney, Krishna Simos, Tim Smith, Spark from Dunner Games, Jeff Stevens at jeffstevensgames.com, Josh and Lee Wanika of the Tabletop Journeys podcast. And thank you, Lee Wanika, for the shout out. Talos the Stormlord, Jeremy Talaman from Masters of Alchemy, Therese, Ryan Truk, Joe Tyler, Earthworm, Marcel de Velasquez, the Valiant DM, who is running D&D Encounters, I have been told. Vidwokles G, James Walton, Graham Ward, Jason Ward from Accidental Cyclops Games, Javier Waziak, Waterford Wizard, I can say that, Chris Webster, Ian Wright, and Zewald Winfrey. Thank you all so much for your support. You can also help us out by going to wherever you listen to this show and giving us a review, giving us some stars. Go to YouTube, youtube.com/@masteringdungeons, and like and subscribe and do all of that. Teos, where can people find your Alpha Stream work?
Find me at Alpha Stream. You can see my latest 2 videos where I looked at the positive and also what bites about Ravenloft, The Horrors Within.
Mm-hmm. You can find me on the socials at Shawn Merwin, or the podcast on the socials at Mastering D&D. So, Teos, we have made it through not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4, not 4, but 5 weeks of Ravenloft. What are we going to do now?
I'm going to celebrate that horror by using my brand new Ninja Star DM reward
nice.
to chuck it at people and end up in all the papers, because D&D hasn't had negative publicity in a long time. And I think it needs a little bit of that panic,
It's about that time. Yeah,
it's about that time.
I think I need some sun, really, is what I need. And not the dark sun.
Oh.
I know. Boo. I need the light sun.
Light hole sun, won't you go?
Yeah.
Wash the pain away. Anyway.